Hello Year 3, welcome to part 2 of unit and non-unit fractions. What I'm going to go through with you today relates to Thursday's work that is on the website, just so you know. Now, in our last video we looked at this vocabulary. It's really important vocabulary, and I'm just going to revise it again at the beginning of today's video just to make sure you've got that information absolutely secured into your brains. Okay? So unit fractions, hopefully you can remember, they are fractions where the numerator is 1 and the denominator is a whole number, like 1/4. And then a non-unit fraction is basically where the numerator, which is the top number, is greater than 1. In this case it's 3, and the denominator is once again a whole number. So this non-unit fraction I've got here for you says 3/9. You're going to need this vocabulary for today's video, just like you did for yesterday's as well. Okay, now then, I've got some different examples of questions to go through with you today. They are more reasoning, problem-solving based questions compared to yesterday's, and this is the first one. So it says, true or false? All of the fractions can be matched to a representation below. Explain your answer. So we have got 4 fractions here, and we have got 3 visual representations down there. Now the first thing I need to do is make sure I understand what all the fractions say. So this one here is 1/11, it's a unit fraction, and then 1/9, which is also a unit fraction. 3 out of 7, that's written in words. Probably better, should write that, there we go, probably better to write that as a fraction in numbers, and that is a non-unit fraction, 3/7, and then we have 2/5 at the end, which is also a non-unit fraction. So, if I'm going to try and match these ones up, I think the first thing I will do is I will come over here and have a look at this representation here, which is 5 fish, 2 of which have been circled. Okay. Now, if I'm going to look and see if this picture matches any of these fractions, I am looking for a fraction that it shows me that something has been divided into 5 equal parts. And if we count the fish here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 fish in that representation, and then the top 2 of them have been identified in a circle. So this picture here is showing 2/5, as is this fraction here. So those 2 actually match up together. Moving further down, 3 out of 7, or 3/7. I am looking for a shape that's been divided into 7 equal parts, because 7 is my denominator. Now this shape here, let's count the pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That has been divided into 7 equal parts, and you can see 1, 2, 3. 3 of them have been shaded in blue. So this representation here shows us 3 out of 7, 3/7, which is the same as that fraction there. So they match up together as well. And then finally, this shape here, we see how many parts it's been divided into in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's been divided into 9 equal parts, and only one of them has been shaded in purple. So this fraction there would match with that shape. Now, there is one fraction left over, 1/11. If we go back to the question, true or false, all the fractions can be matched to a representation below. Now you could say, no, that's not true, which is correct, that is the answer, but this is the key thing up here, explain your answer. How could you explain that this fraction does not match up with any of the representations? What is your evidence that it cannot be matched up? Just take a couple couple of seconds, have a think. How would you justify to me that this is false? Okay, you had to think. Did you think of something like this? So, I've written the perfect answer below, and it says, this is false because 1/11 cannot be matched to any of the representations. There isn't an image of anything split into 11 equal parts. So this last bit here, that is your mathematical evidence. 1/11 cannot be matched with any of these visual images there because none of them have been split into 11 equal parts. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, just re-watch this part of the video again and then have a look at the examples of this question in your worksheet pack for Thursday and give it a go yourself. All right, this is the next type of question we're going to look at today. It is again more reasoning and problem solving, and this question says to complete the table. Now this table has some information in it and also lots of gaps, and it's your job to fill in the gaps with what is missing. So we have some fractions written in numbers. We're going to have fractions written in words as well, and then fractions of shapes that have been shaded. Now then, we'll start with this top row here. This fraction says 9/10. You need to think about how you would write 9/10 in words. Okay, so have a little think, and then I'm going to reveal the answer. There we go, that's how we write 9/10. And then, with this image here, you can see it's been divided into 10 equal parts. We need to shade in 9 of those parts because 9 is my numerator there. Now, you will be able to shade this in much neater than I can in this video. So I'm just going to shade in the top 5 and then 6, 7, 8, 9. There should be one little part of the shape there that you have left empty. The rest of them should be shaded in to show 9/10 as a fraction. Okay. Now then, this next row here is a bit different because we don't have the fraction in numbers yet, and we don't have the fraction in words either. So the only thing we can do to start off with is to have a look at the picture representation. Now then, we will need to decide how to write this fraction in numbers. And by doing that, we have to first of all work out the denominator, which is how many parts has this shape been divided into. Now, zooming in might help you here. As you can see, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 pieces to that shape, 6 equal pieces, and 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, have been shaded in yellow. Okay, so this picture is showing 3/6 as a fraction. So that is what I would write in my numbers column there, and then in my words column I'd be writing 3/6 like that. And then there's one more example to do down the bottom. Again, approach it in exactly the same way. This circle has been divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. That's my denominator. And then 2 of these parts have been shaded in. In this case, they've been shaded in blue. So 2/5 is how I would write that fraction in numbers, and then in words, that is how it would look. Hopefully this makes sense as well, and again, you've got some examples that you can practice too. Now, this is the last question I'm going to go through with you today. It's one of my favourite types of questions because it really gets your brain working and it really focuses on your using mathematical vocabulary. So this question says, Sally has picked some flowers, and here they are. And Sally says, I can use a unit fraction to describe the sunflowers. Okay. Now, the important vocabulary in this question would be unit fraction here, and we also would need to pick out the word sunflowers so that we know which part of the flowers that she has collected we are going to be focusing on. So, sunflowers would be these 3 flowers there. Now, a unit fraction, as you know, is when you have the numerator as number 1. Now, looking at the number of sunflowers there, there's more than one sunflower. There is, in fact, 1, 2, 3. So, if I'm going to show these flowers as a fraction, the sunflowers as a fraction, it would be there are 3 sunflowers out of how many flowers in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So this fraction here, 3/7, that is a fraction to show how many sunflowers there are. And if Sally is saying, well, I can use a unit fraction, which is where the numerator is 1, to describe the sunflowers, is she right or is she wrong? What do you think? We've got to explain our answer as well. Okay. Well, hopefully you realised that if the sunflowers are 3/7, that unfortunately Sally is wrong. We cannot use a unit fraction to describe the sunflowers. And if you have written something like this, this would be a perfect answer. Okay? I disagree, because 3 of the 7 flowers are sunflowers, which is 3/7. This is not a unit fraction because the numerator is more than 1. Okay. That is quite tricky. If you want to re-watch that part of the video again, please do. There are some examples of this kind of question in your worksheet pack for Thursday as well. So have a go at those. The answers, like always, are at the end of the worksheet, so you can mark your own work at the end. I'll be back next week with some more fractions videos, but hopefully you're having fun and working hard at home, and we're looking forward to seeing you again soon.